Now, the National Museum is inviting members of the public to zoom into history with its latest digital initiative this weekend. Participants will get the chance to interact and have conversations with the artifacts like the Singapore stone and even a night soil bucket, as they've brought to life digitally by local comedians and theatre personalities. Through these artifacts, the museum hopes to shed light on lesser-known stories in Singapore's history.
And for a closer look, we're joined by Miriam Yeo, Assistant Curator of the National Museum of Singapore, and stand-up comedian Jackie Ng, who'll be playing the Night Soil Bucket. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Miriam, I want to start with you first. Briefly, take us through the chosen artifacts. Now, what kind of role and significance do they have in Singapore's history?
Well, for Zoom into History, we really wanted to look at artifacts that told the lesser-known stories of Singapore history, artifacts that were a bit more personal, a bit more fun, a bit more relatable. So over the last weekend, we had 4 artifacts. We had the rice cooker, we had a cheese plate, we had a mace, and coming up we have the Night Soil Bucket, voiced by Jackie Young, who's here tonight. We also have 3 artifacts that really tell the story of Singapore before colonial times, like the Singapore stone, a basket trap, and lastly, we also have a Spanish coin. So the Night Soil Bucket will really look at the underbelly of Singapore's culture in the late 1800s and early 1900s, and the other ones look at pre-colonial Singapore from perspectives that you might not have thought, such as trade, culture, and even the personal life of someone from the Orang Laut community.
Yeah, so Jackie, let's get to this a night soil bucket, if you like, the underbelly of society, something used to collect human waste. Tell us a bit more about how you got involved with that, and as well as how you sort of feel about being the voice of this night soil bucket.
Well, when I first found out I was the Night Soil Bucket, I guess I was taken aback. But looking through the number of artifacts that they have, I think the Night Soil Bucket would probably be the most fun artifact for me as a comedian to play with. Yeah.
Miriam, the first few sessions featuring some of the artifacts took place over the past weekend. How did they go? Was there any feedback?
Yeah, from the sessions, they were so fun. I guess going into it, we didn't really know what to expect, but people really engaged. People told us about their own stories. I think that was the most surprising thing and something that we most enjoyed. So in the rice cooker episode, people brought out rice cookers and showed them to us. People also told stories about their own experiences in training or in like military bands when we were talking about Rasama's cat. And people were also really interested in museum processes, and they asked about conservation and the materials of the object, and that was quite heartening for us, thinking that maybe once people know a bit more about the objects in the museum, they might want to come and see them in situ in our galleries.
Okay, well, let's talk about the stories that people have told. Jackie, let's come back to you and talk about this Night Soil Bucket and perhaps some of your preparations that went into it. How did you sort of research into it, incorporate some of the points that Miriam was talking about as well, about hearing stories about the role that it played? Because it is a very important role that it does play.
Yeah, so I think in terms of preparation, it's good that I don't think people will come into the show thinking or expecting the bucket to have a certain type of voice or accent so I can speak with my regular voice. So most of what I've been doing is just reading up, watching videos of people that have lived through those times. My parents were telling me my grandparents used the bucket before. So these are all things that are nice to think about and ponder, and really puts into perspective the things that I've taken granted for in my life. Yeah.
Okay, Jackie, give us an example. Can you do a demonstration for us? So, if I ask you a question, you're going to have to answer back, right? So let me give you like a hypothetical question here. And then you do a demonstration of what it's like that we can expect with this Zoom into History. So, Night Soil Bucket, how often do you get cleaned?
Well, I usually get cleaned every night. But sometimes when the people don't have money to pay the syndicates, then the syndicates don't send the collectors. Then I get left there for 3-4 days. And can you imagine the smell? Oh my God, it was terrible.
The imagery that conjures. Thanks so much for that, Jackie. Now, Miriam, the National Museum, along with the National Heritage Board, they have been creating opportunities for the public to get to know the lesser-known stories from our history. Why is that so important, and what imprint will it leave for the younger generations?
I think the lesser-known stories of our history, they're often more relatable, they're more personal, and we want people to engage with our content, not just come and look at it. So these stories have really brought out people's own experiences and allowed them to connect. And along with these lesser-known stories and news stories, we've also looked for new ways to engage people. So Zoom into History is obviously a digital way. We also combine a bit of theatre with our normal museum processes, and we're just looking for how people respond to that and thinking of how we can connect with people as during this time where connection is a bit less easy when people can't come to the museum.
That's right. Very, very accurate indeed when they can't come to the museum. But thank you so much for speaking to us this evening. We've been speaking with Miriam Yeo, Assistant Curator of the National Museum of Singapore, and stand-up comedian Jackie Ng, who'll be playing the Night Soil Bucket. And if you're interested to sign up for the sessions this weekend, do head over to the National Museum of Singapore's website.